It's really great to be here. I had a chance to go see the Longhorn herd this morning, and we came and watched some really good cutting horses, and we had some really good cattle this morning. And there'd been problems with getting the cattle to settle down. And I think part of the problem is that some of the cattle that you're getting for this purpose never learned how to accept pressure, where you invade the flight zone a little bit, they move away, and they move away in an orderly manner. There's kind of two zones around the animal. There's a flight zone where you penetrate it, they move away, but there's also a zone of awareness, or a zone of they want to look at you, they want to turn around and look at you. Cattle also have a natural behavior to want to go back to where they come from. That would be to return back towards the entrance gate. And I think some of the problems is a lot of the ranches are no longer have the good stock people. You know, what I've found about stockmanship, and it doesn't get enough credit, there's about 20% of people that if you teach them some things, they'll really become a good stock person. There's some people like to be mean to cattle, and they shouldn't be there. You know, and I kind of got to thinking, there's two things that be causing problems with the cattle. It could be genetics. No, the genetics on these cattle is really nice. We did some research that showed that animals that have a hair whorl way up high here on the forehead were more likely to jump around in squeeze chutes. And other research showed they would run fast out of squeeze chutes. Your cattle had nice middle-of-the-road hair whorls. You know, I've seen some Angus cattle where the hair whorls are way down here and they're dripping off the nose, and these cattle are just really sluggish. No, that's not the problem with the cattle. I think the problem is they've either never learned how to take pressure and move in a calm manner, and there's two things that can cause this. It could be rough handling, where people are just coming in there and just chase them with dogs, and then they see a horse and it's just run, and they haven't learned how to react in a calm manner, or they've just been led around with trucks and you just shake the feed bucket and they come running. That's fine for raising cattle, but it doesn't teach them anything about learning how to accept pressure in a controlled manner. One thing I was really happy to see is that these animals were not pooping. You've got animals pooping all over the place because you're scaring the you-know-what out of them. And it was really good to see that that was not happening. I also saw animals back in the holding area chewing their cud. And this brings up the whole thing about stockmanship. We need to be getting young people interested in jobs with cattle. And I get asked all the time, how did I get interested in working with livestock? I was an Easterner originally. I was exposed to working with livestock when I was 15 years old out at my aunt's ranch. A lot of kids today just aren't getting exposed to things. One of the big problems I think we got with a lot of kids is they totally have never been exposed to anything practical. You know, they've taken vo-tech stuff out of the schools. An animal is determined both by its genetics and its previous experiences. The cattle I saw today, nice middle-of-the-road temperament. You're not going to have the real hotheads that you want to just cull. We did some of the original work on temperament. 20 years ago, we had a lot more hotheads. On the other hand, you don't want the dullards or the sluggish, kind of cattle. But other things that determine things like the flight zone is that their previous experiences, their genetics, but their behavior is going to be erratic if they've never been taught just to quietly, okay, person on foot or person on a horse comes up to them, just quietly move away. Also, animals form categories. Person on a horse is a different picture than a person on the ground. So they might just work perfectly for cutting horse, but then run and scatter when somebody tries to work them on foot because they've never seen somebody on foot. Really, cattle need to learn how to drive both on foot and by people on horses. Since they're a sensory-based thinker, stuff they get afraid of is a picture. There was a study done with horses in Lunar and Fint in Germany found you scare a horse with a blue and white umbrella and you get them trained, will they tolerate that? He won't tolerate a big orange tarp flapping around. Tarps look totally different than umbrellas. The thinking is specific. And if there's anybody who works with service dogs, it's really important to train the dog, vest on you work, vest off is play, and make real clear categories that are on that. And when the vest is on, you don't roll the dog over and play with them. So he learns that there's a work category and there is a play category. And the dog can easily learn that, whether the vest is on or the vest is off. And then you need to be kind of enforcing that. I think what I'll do right now is So let's just open it up for questions. All right, let's talk about color vision. Okay, horses and cattle have their eyes on the side of the head. And the reason for that in both species is so that when the animal is grazing, it can scan the horizon for things that may eat it. And it will tend to notice little things with rapid motion. Also, the animal might not step over a shallow. Like right here on the orchestra pit, there's a yellow line on there. So you bring in your horse along here and you just force it up there. It may stop at that line, but if you let it just stop, look at it. Since the vision is designed to scan the horizon for possible danger, they have lousy depth perception. This is the reason why an animal has to put the head down and take a look. And you need to give it time to do that. Another thing is dogs, horses, and cattle are red colorblind. Human beings and primates have 3 color receptors, basically red, blue, and yellow. Horses, cattle, and dogs only have 2. They have the blue and the yellow receptor, and then that makes green. And red appears as dark gray or black. Now that gives you better night vision, and it gives you better contrast vision. Now when I first started out, they thought that horses and cattle were black and white colorblind. That's not true. There's since then has been experiments where the retina was taken apart, and they looked at the actual color receptors. But give animals a chance to look at things. I've found in cattle handling facilities, if I get the coats off of the fence, I get the vehicles that are parked along the facility are gone because they have reflections on them. I get rid of coats and hoses on the ground. Animals will often go through the facility a whole lot better. They also don't like to go into a dark place. So then I got asked about the tunnel here, that underground tunnel. Well, that works okay because you bring your cattle into the Coliseum, they're here for a couple of days. The eyes are adjusted. Now, if you just brought them in and 2 minutes later you're shoving them in that tunnel, I think you would have a problem. But you've had them here long enough where they've been indoors, the eyes adjust. And the tunnel, all the lighting here seems to be very, very even. It doesn't have a lot of shadows. So they should ought to just walk right through there. You see, it's something that's different. Some little thing that moves. It's little contrast. A paper cup on the ground. They'll stop at that sort of stuff.